Welcome to Kids Story. I'm Steve with Kids Around the World, and today we're going to explore the story of the storm at sea.
Man, I don't like the look of that cloud. Hey, have you ever been in a really big storm? Why don't you tell everybody about it? It's time to take a minute to pause, share, and I'll see you in a minute. Well, did you have a chance to share your stories about the storms? Well, I'd like to share God's story with you again today as well. So what had happened is, as you remember from our last story, Jesus had forgiven the woman at Simon's house at the table. And after that, him and his disciples are out doing some things. You know, Jesus lived in an area of the country where there was a lake, a very big lake, the Lake of Galilee. The Lake of Galilee was like 13 miles long and about 8 miles wide. And the fishermen would fish on it, and they had small boats, and they'd go out on that lake. And a lot of things happened there in the story. And today's story is going to happen there too. So here's where we begin God's story. On a certain day, Jesus got into a boat with his disciples, and he said to them, "Let's cross over to the other side of the lake." Now, as they began to sail, Jesus fell asleep. Suddenly, a storm came down upon the lake, and the waves began to raise up, and the boat began to fill with water, and they were in great danger. The disciples came, and they woke up Jesus, and they said, "Jesus, we're going to die." Jesus got up, and he rebuked the wind and the raging waters, and they ceased, and there was a calm. And Jesus said to his disciples, "Where is your faith?" And then they were greatly afraid, and they said to themselves, "Who can this man be, that even the winds and the waves obey him?" Well, that's our story today. You can find it in the book of Luke, chapter 8. Why don't you take a moment and you can pause, read it, and then you can flip it and you can act it out. And we'll see you in just a few minutes. So now we want to talk a little bit about today's story together. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and I want you to pause the video and discuss each question at home. Don't forget, your perspective on today's story is really important, so we want each one of you to share your answers. So our first question is, what was your favorite thing in today's story, and why? If you were in the boat in today's story, how would you have responded? Is there something in your life today where you need to wake up Jesus and have him help you? What does God want you to do with what you've learned today? Through the stories of the Bible, we get to see who God is, and we get to learn about him and his character. In today's story, what did you learn about God? If you were to say, through today's story, I see that God is blank, what would you use to fill in that blank? Our desire is that your family's discussion about this story could continue. So we have some more questions in the description below this video, so you can continue now or maybe later today or even throughout the week. And don't forget, if you have any questions about today's story, feel free to ask them in your family and talk about them. Jesus said, "Those who hear my words and don't do them are foolish men who build their houses on sand.
but those who hear my words and do them are wise men who build their houses on the rock. So it's really important that we don't just hear God's word today, but that we do something about it. Today, as we close, we just like to say a word of prayer. I'll start us off, but feel free to pause the video and pray together as a family about the things the Lord's asking you to do.
Jesus, thank you that we can come to you at any time with any problem or question that we may have. Bless us to feel confident that we can bring our fears to you when the storms come.
Thanks for joining us today on Kids Story. I look forward to seeing you next time as we explore the story of the big meal. At Kids Around the World, we strive to create environments where children's lives are transformed by the hope of Jesus Christ. We hope this video serves to help you create environments in your home where you can explore God's Word together. You can also help us out by doing these 4 simple things. Subscribe to our channel, like this video, comment below, give us your feedback, and then share it with friends. Thanks a lot.